What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Road to Infinity War here at The Real Talk, where every week we're going to be reviewing an MCU film leading up to Avengers Infinity War on May 4th. So today we're going to be making our fifth stop on this sort of, road trip within the MCU, and that is for Captain America, the First Avenger, 2011's film, right after Thor, obviously starring Chris Evans, Hayley Atwell, Tommy Lee Jones, Sebastian Stan, Hugo Weaving, and much more. So we've already stopped by Iron Man, 2008's The Incredible Hulk, 2010's Iron Man 2, and 2011's, like I said, Thor. And next week we're going to be making our bigger stop with Avengers, the first one. So stay tuned for that next week. And like I've been doing with all my other reviews, I've been having guests, and this one's no different. So I'm so excited that he said yes, because this guy does a lot of reviews, like you'll find out later on too. So Carson, take it away, man.
Hello, people from The Real Talk. Hey John, thank you so much for having me on your channel. I'm so excited to be part of your countdown to Avengers Infinity War. So Captain America, the First Avenger. It's kind of funny that I'm the one talking about this movie, because this was, to my knowledge, one of, if not the first superhero movies I've ever seen. See, how I grew up, I was never really exposed to superhero movies or comic books. None of my family were really into superheroes. None of my friends really were into them. It's not like I actively avoided superhero stories, but I just never really had a time where I was exposed to them until my teen years, where I went to one of my friends' houses and they put this movie on. And I remember being really blown away, because I really like this movie. Now, rewatching this movie, I definitely do have issues with it. I don't think it's a perfect film. One of the biggest issues would be the length. This movie is about 2 hours long, which really isn't that long. When you compare it to other superhero movies, 2 hours is definitely not a long time. But this movie does drag quite a bit, at least to me. It takes a while to get going, especially in that beginning portion. It takes a while before we get to the part where he's Captain America. It takes a while before the story really starts. And it does feel like it takes a little bit too long getting to the actual plot. Now, granted, once it picks up, it really picks up. But even to me now, that beginning part is a little bit boring. There were also just some plot points that felt really cliched and pretty weak, one of which would be his motivations for joining the army. Sure, they do talk about his brother, and they give him a couple reasons, but still, it's pretty vague why he is so set on joining this. It does feel a little bit forced. There also is quite a bit of romance in this film that I just didn't need. It felt pretty out of place, and it never clicked for me. It never felt like it was a really good part of the story, and whenever we focused on it, I just wanted to get back to the actual plot. However, those are two smaller issues. I still overall really like this movie, as I mentioned, and one of the big highlights to me, and one thing I'm still impressed by, is how they handle the character of Captain America. Because, to be honest, he isn't really that interesting. He was created as propaganda, and his gimmick is that he fights for America. It's not a great character by any means, but they actually play on that in this movie. They use the idea of him in an interesting way, and where his character still isn't the deepest superhero, he's at least interesting. And where part of that definitely does go to the script, I also have to partly blame Chris Evans for that. He is fantastic in this movie. He feels so natural in this role, and he just really worked for me, as did all the actors. I think everyone really works in this film. Everyone feels really natural, everyone has good chemistry, and overall it's just a really strong cast. This movie also looks great. The production design is very high quality. This movie looks great, all the sets look great, all the outfits look great. The special effects, especially in the action, is also just great. Especially whenever they use his shield. I love his shield as a weapon, and when they start to play around with it, it's amazing. And just overall, I really like this movie. Is it perfect? No. Definitely the plot has some issues to it in my opinion, but overall, it's a really good time. I highly recommend it, and it's a really strong starting point for one of the most classic characters throughout the entire MCU. I'm going to give Captain America, the First Avenger, an A-. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out more of my videos and more of my reviews, you can check me out at youtube.com/butteredpopcorn. I review a bunch of new releases, indie films, foreign films, TV shows, anime. I'm about to start a Wes Anderson series leading up to Isle of Dogs. So if you want to check out more of my reviews, once again, youtube.com/butteredpopcorn. Once again, thank you so much, John, for having me be part of this series. I can't wait to see the rest of it, and I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you guys for watching.
Alright, thank you so much, Carson, for that review of Captain America, the First Avenger. And guys, if you have not followed Carson on YouTube, you guys can find him under Buttered Popcorn. That's a pretty cool name. I like that name, you know. I can get used to that name when I go to the movies. Again, that was Buttered Popcorn. His links to his channel and social media are going to be down below. And like he said, he does a lot. I think he's like at review 400, almost like 500 right now. I think like 480 something. But he does it all. Like he said, he does movies, new releases, Netflix reviews, TV shows, anime, indie films. He just does it all. So go check him out. He has some incredible insight on the films that he reviews. Kind of reminds me of a young Stuckman. So check if you like Chris Stuckman, go ahead and check him out. So Captain America: The First Avenger. Let's get into my thoughts. So real quickly, I don't want to repeat anything that Carson said already in his review. So Captain America, to be honest, obviously I went with some of my friends. I have a friend that we call him Captain America because he went to the Marines and stuff like that. So I went with him. And you know what? This movie, I just, throughout the years, I fell in love with this movie because of Steve Rogers and what Chris Evans was able to bring to the role and has been doing so ever since with Winter Soldier, Civil War, the two Avengers movies, Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. I just really, these movies have just opened my eyes to Captain America and Steve Rogers, and he's become one of my favorite characters in the MCU and just in comics in general as well. So that's what I really like about this movie, that, you know, you can kind of relate to Steve Rogers. And why he does his things that he wants to do. You know, he's kind of just the ultimate hero, the ultimate, you know, American hero. So that's what I really like about this movie, that they showed you that. I also like the cinematography and the score. They kind of give you a cool little atmosphere towards the movie, which I really liked. Another plus that I just thought of is Hugo Weaving as Red Skull. I hope his run isn't done yet. I hope he comes back some way, shape, or form. At least the character, I know Hugo Weaving's kind of said some things, you know, I don't want to come back, but I really liked Red Skull. And yeah, cinematography, this movie looks really good as well. It's just shot beautifully. There's a lot of, you know, real sets used, you can tell. So that always ups the game of the cinematography. And to be honest, also the other cast does a great job as well. So like I said, Hugo Weaving, Sebastian Stan does a good job, you know, playing Bucky Barnes' early stages. Hayley Atwell and Tom Lee Jones does a great job as well. And to be honest, the negatives I have to the film, I would agree with Carson. This film does drag a little bit, and it kind of takes a while to pick off. But I actually really like that first part where it kind of, they're explaining, not explaining, but kind of diving into Steve Rogers when he's skinny and stuff like that before he gets all steroid up or super soldier serum, or whatever you want to call it. And to be honest, I don't have any other negatives. I just think this is a really solid origin superhero film, especially for Captain America. I really like that end bit as well, where he said, where, you know, obviously he's in the present day, he escapes, and he's talking to Nick Fury, and he says, "Oh, like, is everything cool? You know, will this be okay? You've been asleep for 70 years, you know, almost 70 years, I think he said." He said, "Oh yeah, I just, you know, I'm late for it. I had a date or something. I forget it. I just literally saw it, man." But I really like that aspect of it. You know, whole kind of man out of time. So that's pretty much it, guys. I don't want to make this video too long. I don't want to repeat anything that Carson said. But Captain America, if I had to rate it, to be honest, guys, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I really, 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 really like this movie. I really like Steve Rogers. Really like what Chris Evans done with the character. And I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Alright, so there you have it. Our review for Captain America: The First Avenger. Carson, again, thank you so much for stopping by. Again, you guys can find Carson at Buttered Popcorn on YouTube. And again, his link is going to be in the description down below. And next week, guys, we're hitting a pretty big review. And that is for Avengers, 2012's Avengers. And I'm going to be having my good friend Rama from Rama's Screen actually here in the Real Talk, or whatever you want to call it. So look forward to that. And yeah, guys, if you guys want to follow me outside of YouTube, you guys can. At the Real Talk, talk with 2Ks. On Instagram and Twitter. If you guys want to follow me on Stardust, I have a Stardust account as well, which is at the Real Talk. You guys can find me there. And until next time, guys, I'll see you at the movies. Later.